Hello and welcome to the Ferret Business Podcast. I am your host, YemmytheFerret, aka Yemmy, aka DJ Yemmy, and with me today is someone you've probably seen modding for Joyful Death and others, who also has his own comic series called Stream of Consciousness. It's Dammit Jim. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Yemmy.
All of his links will be down below, including the Facebook link to his comic series and YouTube. Even though he doesn't really have a YouTube going, still going to link it just because that's what I do.
I do have a playlist. Actually, my playlist has most of the Reaper interviews that you've done.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. I should probably have researched that a little bit better. So, are you planning on doing more with the YouTube channel, or?
I have some ideas. I just ordered a microphone to replace this kind of poor one I have, and I might do a podcast paranormal thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
So, are you? Do you believe in ghosts then?
I do. I've been a ghost hunter / paranormal investigator more or less for the last 18 years.
Wow. Have you had any close encounters with the other side?
We have, in fact. I was interviewed on a local radio station because of a case we worked on.
Really?
Yeah, we had a house in the town that I live in. The homeowners asked us to come check it out as they were moving out, and they'd had different things happen to them, and so I'm like, okay, we'll get a team in there. While we were there, we had 3 of our different people were attacked by something that wasn't there.
Wow.
Somebody was pulled to the floor, somebody had their back scratched while they were standing in an open doorway, and somebody got poked in the chest and it left a big red mark.
Wow, that's insane.
Yeah. On an average ghost hunt, like if you're EVP, electronic voice phenomenon, is considered the voices of ghosts usually, or unexplained sounds. You can get those with any digital recorder. On an average ghost hunt, you would get maybe 3 at most. In that location, over 6 hours during 2 different weekends, we got 52.
Oh, man, that's...
Yeah. There was some serious bad juju in that house.
Yeah, a little bit there, huh? Have you personally had any experiences like anything happen to you?
I've been able to see things that I can't explain. I won't necessarily say that they were a ghost or I saw anything like, because I won't do that quantifier, but I will say I've seen things that I can't 100% explain away.
Mm-hmm.
And we've had audio phenomenon several different times. We had a house we worked in, and there was no children in this house, but everyone in this house swore they saw a little girl once in a while. While we were there doing our thing, there was a baby monitor on the counter because the kid who did live there was actually staying at grandma's house that night.
Huh.
So while we were there, the baby monitor, like we were walking into a room, the baby monitor, there was a little girl's voice, sounded like she was 4 to 5, just said, "Hi." And we all stopped and we're like, "Could you do that again?" And it went, "Hi." And that was it. But so I can't explain that one away either, but
it's kind of spooky.
Yeah. The rational side of my brain says that was probably picking somebody else's baby monitor up, but the hopeful side says maybe that was something.
Wow. Do you have any like fancy equipment you take with you, or is it just the regular audio recording stuff?
Well, we worked with a group out of St. Louis. I'm from the St. Louis metro area, and this group has the infrared spectral cameras and some high-powered mics and a whole bunch of different stuff like that. So we get to use that once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
But since I had a health issue a couple years ago, I've not been as active as I would like to be. But we still get around sometimes.
Oh, that's cool though. That's that's something I didn't know about you.
Yeah.
Ghost hunter extraordinaire.
Actually, it'd be surprised to tell you, but Vash in the Pit, he is too.
Oh, really? Oh, geez. When I have him back on, I'm going to have to talk to him about that.
Yep.
So, let's see. I'm trying to think of more stuff for the ghost stuff, because that's really interesting to me. Because, like, I personally, I've only had one experience where I'm pretty sure it was a dream, but it felt really real. Where I walked downstairs and I opened the door and there was a ghost in the closet. I'm feeling like that was more of a dream because I woke up in my bed, but it was pretty real to me when I was going through it.
That was my thing with the paranormal stuff. It doesn't just necessarily mean ghosts. You have precognitive dreams. You have the lucid dreaming where you see possible other things that are there but you can't see with your normal eye. Tons and tons of different psychic phenomenon are very real, but not really talked about much.
Do you think some of the TV shows on TV are fake, or
I think the majority of the TV shows are fake.
What makes you say that?
Because, okay, perfect example is there is a local haunted mansion in St. Louis called the Lemp Mansion, Lemp. It's famously known for the fact that this owner of a brewery in town, almost every single member of the family committed suicide either in this mansion or later on after they moved.
Whoa.
And yeah, so it's extraordinarily haunted. And if you research the history there, I used to give a tour at their ghost tour. You research the family history, and you can tell what rooms people have been seen in, what things have been done. Well, an episode of Ghost Hunters filmed there while we were the tour guides. And I'm talking the Sci-Fi Channel, Jay and Grant, and the team. Well, they went in there, completely discounted the majority of the history of the place, swore they heard things here and there, and you could pretty much tell the one thing they got was a sound of a floorboard scraping. And I've been in the room where that happened, and yeah, that floorboard always does that. But they took that as their empirical evidence that it was haunted. I'm like, no, I have video at home. I could show you it's better than this. But so yeah, a lot of it is just for rating, sadly.
Would you want to start your own show? I mean, you already said you want to start your podcast on ghost hunting, but would you want to start like a TV show or anything like that?
I have a face for radio, so some of my other team members probably would. They're a lot more, young and attractive and would bring viewers, but sadly, no.
So along with the podcast, so would it just be ghost stuff? Would you bring in ghost experts or people who...
I would think ghosts and possession and UFOs, basically the broad spectrum of the paranormal.
Yeah. I mean, that could be really interesting, especially the people who maybe don't believe in ghosts. Maybe it could sway some people over, huh?
Mm-hmm. That's the thing. I've always said that it doesn't matter whether you believe or not, but there's no atheists in a foxhole kind of thing with this stuff. When you wind up in a very aggressively haunted place, it usually tends to make itself known. So you can go your whole life never believing in ghosts, and all of a sudden, when your cabinets are slamming at 3 o'clock in the morning and you have no idea why, now you kind of have a hint.
So what are your thoughts on psychic mediums then?
Depends. I think with most psychics, you got to take them with a grain of salt. One of my best friends, and is kind of a mentor of mine, her name is Vicky Main, and she's a local psychic here in the St. Louis area. And she's probably one of the best I've ever known, one of the most accurate. She's a full psychic medium. She does the dowsing. She does the whole 9 yards. And with her, nobody's ever going to be 110% right.
Mm-hmm.
But she's usually really, really, really close. Like, she can pick up on things just from sitting next to you. She'll be like, so what happened with you and the girl? I'm like, I didn't tell anybody about that. What the heck are you talking about? But some of them, I think the more popularity they get, especially when you wind up on Oprah, like your Sylvia Browns, a lot of those are just kind of, again, like Jay and Grant, doing it for the ratings and not so much for what it's intended to be.
And is there a difference between a specter, a spirit, and a ghost? Is there a difference between any of them?
Oh, I'm going to get in trouble with the community. For me, I think some of these terms are catch-alls. I think that a ghost is a ghost is a ghost, whether you want to call it whatever you want to call it. But there are different kinds of quote unquote ghosts. In some houses, perfect example, there was a house we worked at that every day at 7 o'clock in the morning, the homeowner would smell cigarettes in their kitchen and hear their back door shut. When we did research on it, we found out that the guy who lived there before this person moved in, they basically, their entire life was get up at 6, smoke a cigarette, and leave out the back door to go to their car to go to work every day for like 40 years. And
Wow.
then they died.
Oh.
So, in our opinion, it wasn't necessarily a quote-unquote ghost. It was an echo. It was just the same thing imprinted and playing over and over again.
Huh. That's
So you have some that show intelligence that will knock or make noises or antagonize, but some of them are just repeating things over and over.
that's cool. That's really interesting. Wow. Last question here about the ghost hunting. Actually, probably not. It's kind of related, I guess. But
Okay.
there's a lot of shows and people out there who believe in Bigfoot. Do you think Bigfoot exists?
I do. Gosh, I'm gonna sound like a crackpot. But yes, I do. In fact, several people I know believe that they have seen it. Not only do I believe in Bigfoot, but I believe in other lesser known cryptozoological creatures, like your dogman of Michigan and Wisconsin. The Wendigo, the rake. I know the rake is very controversial, but something that is similar to the description of the rake is out there. It's a great big world out there, and there are reports of a bipedal hominid on every continent in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I can't say definitively yes or no. I've not seen it, but I want to hope there is.
What about the Goat Man? Have you heard of the Goat Man?
Mm-hmm. Very, very satyr-like creature that's usually somewhere tied in with the Wendigo and Skinwalker myth, where it can mimic the human voice. It can do horrible, scary things. It's Goat Man, and like a lot of the cryptid things, are spooky to me.
Yeah.
I can handle a ghost. I can handle friggin' demons, but you throw a real thing at me, and I'm gonna be worried.
Well,
Throws rocks at my car and scares me.
you're very educated. Have you studied up a lot on all this stuff?
I have. Basically, when I turned 15, I got really into it because I was dating a Wiccan and she was into it, so I got into it, and I never let it go. I'm supposedly, from what I understand, one of the better known lay demonologists of Southern Illinois. Yeah, I didn't go to school or didn't learn it professionally, but I've spent more or less 15 years studying exorcism and possession and cryptozoology. Ufology, UFO stuff is the one weak link of mine. I don't know it very well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I love watching the X-Files, but I didn't really study it that hard.
yeah, my thing with aliens is like if they've been here, if they've already been here, they said, "Oh, this place is too dumb," and they left.
I kind of agree with you. I think if there was, let's play devil's advocate.
Okay.
If the extraterrestrials were here at some point, I think they were here early, kind of gave us a nudge in the right direction, and then peaced out home. The ancient alien theory, I don't necessarily ascribe to that, but I'm thinking if there was a case, that would probably be, in my opinion,
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting way to look at things.
It gives me hope that we're not the only people in this universe.
So, Jim, Dammit Jim, where did Dammit Jim originate from?
That is funny. Well, weirdly, I can tie it to my comic, and we'll start there. I started drawing the comic in 2010, and 2011, I put it up on its own page. I used to just draw it on my personal Facebook page. Shortly after that, a webpage called I'm Thinking Awesome started sharing a lot of my comics. So I eventually wrote them a message. I'm like, hey, who are you, and why are you sharing my stuff? Well, come to find out, it was Joyful Death's husband, Pikey.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I got to know him and then her pretty well back then. And then in January of 2018, Joy started streaming and with her channel. And she asked me to tag along and kind of check her out. About the third episode in, I was kind of hooked and I thought she was hilarious. So then she started streaming the game The Long Dark. And I've known her for 6 years now, so I'm kind of known for giving her a hard time. And at one point in the game, for those of you that don't know, The Long Dark is a survival game. You have to hunt food and survive freezing climates. And at one point, she had killed like 2 or 3 rabbits in the game. And one of your perils of the game are there are random wolves that will jump up and eat your face if you're not careful. Well, so she killed a couple of rabbits, and I'm like, Joy, you need to get back to your base because you now smell like wolf food. And she's like, no, I'll be fine. And not but like 2 feet from the door of her base, a wolf jumped up and ate her face. And I laughed at her, and then she screamed, "Dammit Jim!" And then the 3 other people in chat screamed, "Dammit Jim!" And I'm like, well, apparently I've got a name now.
Yeah, that Long Dark, I think that's how I discovered Joy. I was watching a Long Dark episode.
Yep. A lot of the quote-unquote Reaper crew came back in the day then. You, Spooky McSpooks, Nomad Eric. That's when Vash, Briar, and I became mods for her channel with The Long Dark.
And how many channels are you modding now?
Actively, Joy. Passively, Briar and Douglas and Dragons. And I was Felt for Games, but I'm not anymore.
And so, you take that pretty seriously too, right?
I do. I'm very, very blessed and honored to have these guys trust me enough to watch their back while they're doing things.
What's been the hardest part of modding a stream like Joy's, for example?
Joy's. Briar's are a lot easier because Briar's fan base seemed to be very sweet and innocent, much like Briar Lacrosse. But the trouble with Joy is a attractive woman who plays video games. So attractive women and video games, you're going to get guys mostly, and unfortunately, a lot of guys don't necessarily think big brain. So some of them will come in and say graphically inappropriate things, and you get to ban them or kick them or time them out. Or some of them tend to start fine and edge a little creepy once in a while. It's like, okay, reel it in.
Yeah.
And I have this big brother vibe for her, so I kind of like, when you're looking at my sister, I'm going to break your teeth.
Yeah, I was talking to her about that the first time she was on the podcast, and just being a female on YouTube in general is obviously going to attract a different crowd of people, and I'm glad that she has someone who has her back every single stream like you that can help out.
She has an amazing mod team. Not just patting myself on the back like that, but she's got Briar and Vash and Nomad, Eric Nomad. She's got Tana. Tana's got my back more than anybody because the majority of the people that she has as mods also play with her in game, with the exception of me and Man Under Matt. And Tana, like, she came somewhat recently when Joy was doing Bioshock, sorry. But she's caught my slack a lot, and I'm very thankful for the many people that are there to help us.
So let's talk a little bit about your comic strip, Stream of Consciousness. First off, where did the name come from?
The funny thing with that is I was trying to come up with a name. I was drawing it mostly as just an in-joke for my friends when I first started it. And then for the longest time, I'm like, I need to do something with this. I need to come up with a title. I need to do something. And one night I was just spitballing ideas and nothing was sticking. And a friend of mine was like, you just gotta just rattle it off. Just stream of consciousness. Just go. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a minute. Stream of consciousness. I like that. Whatever just pops out of my brain. Yeah, that's the name. Like, that's not what I meant. I'm like, that's what's going to happen anyway. So yeah, it started off in 2010. Actually almost 8 years ago this month. Actually, I think it was like the 13th. I think if I'm really thinking about it too hard, I had a horrible bout of bronchitis, and I was just I was miserable, and I was miserable not just feeling it, but I was miserable to the people around me, my girlfriend and my best friend at the time. And excuse me, sorry. Um, Being so miserable, I was trying to find a way to apologize to them, and at the same time trying to make fun of myself, be like, "Oh wait, no, I'm not the giant jerk that I've been this last couple of days." So I made a couple comics just to show that, and they're like, "That's good. You should show it on Facebook." I'm like, "Yeah, okay." So I did, and then weirdly, a dozen people liked them. I'm like, "Well, maybe I could do more," and then spitballed from there.
So where do you see the comic going in the future?
Well, I'm wanting to. This is a soft thing that I want to do. Is look into like a self-publishing deal, and I want to do that maybe next year. I wanted to basically the first, sadly, 200 comics are basically a lot of just in joke. But once I started realizing people were actually looking at these things, I started trying to be more broad stroke funny. And so I want to kind of hunt and peck through the original 200 and see what's good, and then maybe publish this in either a big chunk or a couple of small chunks.
What about a newspaper deal? Any?
I wanted to do that. Funny thing about that is my mom and dad decided they wanted to have a kid because of the newspaper.
Really?
Yeah, it was somewhere in 1979. They were at the Sunday breakfast table, and they were reading the comic page, and there was a family circus cartoon, because in the Sunday papers there's just the big circle and a little thing on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the circle there was the mom and dad, and it was black and white, and they were just sitting there at the table drinking coffee. And the side panel was the kids walked into the room, and it all became light and sunny and noises and stuff. And it made mom and dad decide they wanted to have a kid. And then 9 months later, here I was.
Wow.
So I was born to do comics because I was born from a comic.
Wow.
So I kind of want to eventually. The problem with newspaper is mostly dead.
Right.
So, so having a web comic, it's much like being a video game. The market is 110% saturated, from things that are stick figures to things that are impressively beautifully drawn. And I found myself somewhere kind of in the middle there.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, you can't all. There's no funny paper online, or I would be in heaven. But you kind of have to self-promote a little bit like with that.
And I know a lot of people who are artists or they they draw and stuff like that. They like to present themselves as they would like to be seen in their art, but you seem to do more of a realistic piece with you. I mean, why would someone want to change their appearance through art, or why don't you change your appearance through your art?
Well, I think the idea is oh gosh, here I'm going to sound like I went to school or something. The transitive property of medium, where you want to make yourself into this handsome, dashing, good-looking person, or you want to be powerful, or be whatever the case may be. But my sense of humor comes from your classic humor things, your Mel Brooks, your National Lampoons, your Naked Gun movies. And those always kind of play it to where you have a straight person and the funny guy. Your great comic duos, your Jay and Silent Bob, your Cheech and Chong, your 10,000-year-old man and Carl Reiner. And so I've always kind of tried to be funny and play off of somebody. So when I draw me, I understand me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody tells you write what you know, which is why my comic is my friends and my family. and myself is because I know us. So I kind of make us as close to us as a little exaggerated, of course, but
Hmm.
as close to us as I can and not get my family and friends mad at me.
And you use Paint to do most of your.
Mhm.
Oh,
Everything is done in MS Paint,
wow.
and it started out of necessity. When I first started drawing, I drew. A friend of mine had a website years and years and years ago. I don't even want to mention it because it was awful. But I did a comic strip for that, and it was the only program I had. And then when I started doing this one, I did it in Paint just because it was a joke with my friends. And then it became I tried Photoshop and I tried a couple of the paint programs that are out there, and like it became an aesthetic choice. It's like I like how these things look,
Mm.
as opposed to I mean, I could do the more fluid stuff and it would look probably better, but I just kind of like the idea of the just a step up from stick figures.
Yeah, it's too bad that Paint has kind of died on the
Yeah,
newer Windows computers too.
right. You have to search it out and find it and buy it now.
So, the last thing I wanted to talk about today was a video I sent you called Compressorhead.
Yeah.
And these are robots that actually play music. They're programmed to play music. I was just wondering, what are your thoughts on it? Are robots taking over the music industry?
Smells like Skynet is what I would think of that video. It really kind of made me think of, I don't know if you know of it. It's a thing called Hatsune Miku.
No, I've never heard of that.
Okay, Miku is a Japanese Vocaloid. It's made with a software where there is no human voice involved. They write music and use a computer to make a voice. And it is one of the largest concert things in Japan,
Hmm.
but there's no humans involved except they have a hologram avatar on stage.
Huh.
Yeah, it's a 16-ish looking year old anime girl dancing and singing on stage, and hundreds of thousands of people come to it. And it's a lot like the Tupac hologram from 2012,
Uh-huh.
where, this is a band that will never die. It's an artist that will never age. So you can have all the little dangerous posters one of them. And much like your robot overlords, the only thing I could think though is it sounded. I'm sure it was technically perfect. I'm sure it was exactly every note that was written and perfectly executed. But it did seem like it didn't have a soul to it.
Exactly.
And like I'm sure you can look up the Hatsune Miku videos. I mean, I don't speak Japanese, so I have no idea what she's saying. But it's a hologram that is written by a computer, music written by a computer, a voice that is completely computer generated. It still has something, subjectively missing from it.
Hmm.
And I mean, does it look perfect on paper? Sure, but you're still missing something.
Do robots scare you, kind of like these ones who kind of...
A little bit,
Yeah.
not gonna lie. Um, it's the Industrial Revolution. People swore that we're gonna make man obsolete. Well, we seem to be actively working towards that, don't we?
Yeah. We're making a robot that can play bass guitar. We're doomed.
Yeah, we're doomed. I mean, sooner or later they're gonna have those. I read this a couple years ago that and I know this is going to be a little bit adult channel, but I'm going to choose my words wisely. The adult entertainment industry is at the forefront of almost all technology. I don't know if you knew that.
Mm-hmm.
Your VR, whatever the case may be, they are at the forefront. So sooner or later, we're going to have a robot for that too.
I think there already are.
Yeah, there's already the life model dolls. I'm just waiting for the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. life model decoy to kick in.
Oof. Yeah, I was always scared of the Chuck E. Cheese animatronics.
Mm-hmm.
And Five Nights at Freddy's didn't. It kind of strengthened that.
Yeah,
that
did
fear.
not help that phobia, did it?
I don't know. Do you have Hulu?
I believe I do somewhere.
Oh.
I use Netflix more, but I do have Hulu.
there was Huluween it was called this year, and there was a short film called like The Birthday Party or something like that on there, and it was a animatronic that ate a child, and I was like, inherently this isn't scary, but I'm really freaked out right now.
Right. Well, I mean, I'll tell you one that kind of got to me, and it's because of Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know the name of the channel, or I would plug it, sadly. But it was Markiplier and Nate Wants to Battle did a Five Nights at Freddy's musical for this channel.
Whoa.
That was scary crap. They just used it. And I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Wow. That's crazy. The actually Compressorhead added a vocalist.
Oh, really?
But it's actually it's actually just a human voicing it, and then they have the robot singing the lyrics. I don't know if that's kind of like a cop out or something like that, but
well, I will say this though, I did kind of enjoy the fact that they had the robots banging along. So at least they're giving them some personality.
Yeah, and that drummer robot, like that is literally like Terminator material.
Okay, you know who I thought of when I saw that drummer?
No.
General Grievous from the trilogy.
Yeah. Actually, looking at him now, General Grievous. There you go. Except with drumsticks, not lightsabers.
Right.
All right. Well, hey, I just want to thank Dammit Jim for coming on the podcast. That's all the time we have for him today. But I also would like to thank him for creating my emote characters for my new review series. Those are released on Sundays, so every video of mine now has his link in the description, and also in the description of this video. So make sure you check him out, and if you want anything done, feel free to message him. Where can they find you, Jim?
You can find me on Facebook, obviously, through the Stream Consciousness comic page. You can find me on several different Discords, Joyful Deaths, Briar Lacrosse. You can find me pretty much everywhere. Or come to one of Joy's streams, and I'm there. Message me there.
Is there anything else you want to say before we end the podcast?
I do. I wanted to thank you very, very much, and I greatly appreciate the fact that I'm a complete non-gamer and non-YouTuber, yet get to know and be friends with so many of you great people, and it means a lot that you had me on today.
Oh, not a problem, man. It's been a pleasure. I was so interested in your ghost stuff, because...
Oh, we can talk about that more if you want later.
All right. Well, hey, I am the host, YemmytheFerret, and this has been another episode of the Ferret Business Podcast.